Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the May Pacific chapter session. Beautiful day on the West Coast, so hope everybody's enjoying that. That is local to BC. My name is Terry Adamson. I'm the technical director with Fenestration Canada. Kyle Cartwright, the chapter chair, sends his regrets. He had a commitment come up that he couldn't get out of, so he's sorry that he couldn't be here, but hopes that everybody gets something out of this. So today's session, AI for the fenestration industry, from data to better decisions. Artificial intelligence isn't just for tech giants, for the fenestration manufacturers and distributors. It's a practical opportunity to streamline operations, reduce costs, and make smarter decisions faster. In this session, we welcome Farouk Mouhtadi. He's an AI expert with Move AI out of Montreal. Breaks down how industrial companies are turning existing data into real competitive advantages. So Farouk, welcome. We're really pleased to have you here. This is a bit of a teaser for us because Farouk is joining us in Quebec City next week to deliver a similar session for participants of the spring conference next week. So Farouk, go ahead and share your screen and dive into it for us.
Perfect. Thank you, Terry. I'll go right away and share my screen. It shouldn't be long. All right. Terry, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
We're good. Yep, looks good.
Perfect. So for today's session, we're stepping the content up a notch. As you can see on the screen, we're talking about agentic AI, which has been the main revolution of last year's artificial intelligence world. And we have seen the evolution of agentic AI and what it's capable of doing today. Today, we're going to dive a little bit more into why agentic AI is ready and why your company isn't. So we'll start with this first metric. So this has been a survey that's been conducted globally, and globally we see 78% of the organizations that have adopted generative AI, whether it's shadow AI or official means of using it. This is the state today. So 8 out of 10 organizations globally. However, there's only 20% of these organizations that are able to tie the use of generative AI to tangible impact on results. And I'll dive back into our own experience with agentic AI. So Move AI has been a leader in the industry. We've started in Quebec, and we are serving companies across North America and worldwide. We have been delivering solutions for companies across a variety of industries, going from manufacturing all the way to banking, going through retail. And last year, we had a contract with a US client to build an agentic platform for more than 100,000 users. And at that moment, we saw that the revolution was in motion, and that brought us a supplier of services to enable companies that don't operate in the AI world to realize that we ourselves need to adopt agentic AI as an organization. And that's where we were forced by our own CEO to integrate agents into our workflow and our daily work. And why this innovation, or let's say this new fold of AI, is different, and why is this revolution important? Because we're moving into solutions that can actually execute tasks. Business expertise can be encapsulated in skills. I'll get back to skills in a couple of slides. So we can actually encode those competencies into the agents. And the last one, there is a new way of connecting AI to your enterprise existing knowledge. All that to say that where LLMs would just generate content and text, or images, agents or AI agents are actually autonomous. They go from the simple mode, which is one interaction at the time, to automating workflows and also enabling people with vibing, meaning, or you may have heard about vibe coding, we call it now vibing. So that was it for automation, meaning that we're moving from a paradigm where employees manage the processes to agents running the company's core activities in the background. And vibing is actually a double-edged sword because it allows your employees to build solutions, but let's just say that a software developer, if they vibe code an application, for example, they do have the knowledge and expertise to evaluate if that solution is to the state of the art. However, if let's say your CEO vibe codes an application, well, there may be some gray zones there. So having a tool and enabling your people with vibing isn't the big challenge. It's how you can translate that into concrete value and tie it to results, as we have seen in the beginning of this presentation. And why is that? It's because there are changes at two main levels. The first one is at the functions level. With AI, operations are being optimized. Planning is optimized, quality control, and inventory management as well. You'll have less intermediate layers to accomplish this today. When it comes to product development, R&D is significantly accelerated today. Testing procedures as well, and market analysis, as well as looking up regulations or up-to-date regulations, is now taking a lot less time than before. And when it comes to marketing and sales, AI can generate content, can segment your target clients, can come up with a pricing strategy. We see today that small teams are actually surpassing bigger departments. And last but not least, there's also a culture shift where AI has become embedded within our daily life, meaning that we need to prioritize more the requalification as well as the culture around the usage of this technology. And on the second level, it's the market. Now we see more and more consumer agents that will actually do the shopping for the consumer, compare the different vendors and also companies that sell the same product based on a criteria that the consumers consider as a high priority to them. You also see new companies that emerge overnight. It is a lot more easier for them now to come up with a packaging, marketing strategy, and also how to brand their products, meaning that it's not as difficult or complicated as it used to be. I'm sorry. And the third segment is the distributors. Distributors are looking more and more at thinner margins as they have now competitors which are selling directly to the consumer using AI. And last but not least is the supply chain. So today we have AI solutions that monitor in real time prices of raw materials, weather, reliability of suppliers, and that is a competitive advantage if you are not using you will be paying the price for. Now, this was based on our observations of the market, and what I would like you to already start to think about and keep in the back of your head is what are the current implications that exist in your company or even in the fenestration market. And why I'm saying that, it's this shift that we see with agentic AI is that we're moving from having multiple solutions, or let's say a one-to-one, a problem to one solution, to a unified platform, which basically allows having one platform, which is the solution, that can actually answer or alleviate multiple problems at the time. And as I have mentioned in the beginning, that was mainly enabled through the use of skills. And a skill is a competency, let's say the equivalent of the knowledge that your SME or let's say an operator on the field, we could actually translate that into a skill. Of course, it's not going to be all of their competencies. It's going to be a small fraction of it. And it is less than an agent that is capable of executing actions, but it's more than just a prompt that, let's say, you would feed to ChatGPT, Claude, or the other Gen AI platforms that we know today. In concrete ways, before 2025, we would see employees or users having access to their own agents. So Olivier, Bob, Alexandra would have their own agents. And funny enough, these agents were almost the equivalent of employees. And this was what McKinsey CEO headline for Business Insider, is that they augmented their capacity by using agents. Today, the main difference is that those agents were isolated. Now we give the power to all of the employees to access through one agent to skills, competencies that are cross-department and that can actually help them conduct tasks that they were or needed to contact other colleagues in order to accomplish. Meaning that, in addition to that, MCPs that I mentioned earlier allow the seamless connection to enterprise platforms, CRM, ERPs, documentation in SharePoint, or business intelligence, or any other telemetry platforms that the company used. And that is linked to the data. And remember this part, the data, because I'll get back to it in a couple of minutes. So essentially, this is what an agentic platform would look like at a technical level. However, just by itself, it's not complete. We need to ensure that this platform can be scalable. We want to ensure that through time we can add skills, we can add other data sources and be able to connect to different platforms. And that goes through governance. Keep also in mind that we need to ensure that the right people have access to the right skills. And that also falls within governance. In addition to that, there is an aspect that is overlooked usually, which is change management. People need to be assisted and supported through this process. Security in the era of AI or any technological solution, we need to ensure that we are safe from any data breaches or leakage. The agentic optimization that goes hand in hand with being able to control the costs of the solution and optimize for the enterprise that you have. And the last one, being compliant with all the privacy laws and other regulations that exist. And that is an agentic platform. So keep in mind that all the 4 layers are required so that we can deploy the proper agentic platform. That was the pitch. So now we're going from the theory or the technical explanation to one of your competitors who won the award of AI breakthrough of Iowa last year, and it is Pilla, that went from unplanned downtime to predictive plant intelligence. And this solution had 4 main key features. We're talking about real-time monitoring, full diagnosis grounded in the 20 plus years of data. And remember that I mentioned data earlier. I want you to think about what you have today as in terms of data that would enable you to tackle similar use cases. And this solution gives prescriptive fixes with the recommended parts and procedures. And last but not least, the integration with their manufacturing execution system and maintenance workflow so that it is standardized across the company as a whole. How would it look compared to what I showed earlier? So they call it the AI maintenance doctor. And under the hood, on the left side, you have the operators, the technicians on the plant floor. That's the entry point. In the middle sits the agent. Think of it as the brain that orchestrates everything. When a technician asks why line 3 is stalling again, the agent doesn't just search a manual. It reasons, it picks from a library of skills, troubleshooting a failure, filling an incident, walking a repair checklist, flagging an anomaly. Each skill is 20 years of Pella's maintenance know-how packaged so that the agent can call it on demand. But skills, of course, are useless without the data. And I can't stress it enough, but data is the fuel at the end of the day. So data is the bottom half, as we discussed earlier. MCP gives the agent live access to MES, ERP, maintenance logs, and telemetry, pulling from the equipment historian, SAP, sensor streams underneath. And that basically is very different from just having a chatbot that is bolted onto a factory. It's an agent embedded in your operational fabric, institutional history, real-time data, and packaged expertise, all converging at the exact moment a technician needs an answer or an operator needs some assistance. And when it comes to results or impact, the AI maintenance doctor has been able to save more than 10,000 hours of machine, which is the equivalent of 30 to 40% reduction in unplanned downtime across 14 plus plants. So we mentioned earlier that multiple users can have access to this platform, and it doesn't have to be tied to a physical location. It can actually go beyond the physical limitation and be deployed at scale, at the enterprise scale, regardless of where the users or employees are. And the last part that I haven't covered in the use case is the bottom part that I mentioned earlier. It's great to target to have a technological investment and invest into a specific technology. However, we can't emphasize enough on the part where we need to invest as equally, if not more, into our humans. Ensure that we assist them through this revolutions, through this change, and have them well equipped and having access to the right tools so that they can be empowered enough to use the agentic platform properly and drive results and value. Because at the end of the day, if your solution is amazing but no one uses it, it is a fail in terms of technological application. Hopefully, the question that you have in your mind right now is all of this is nice and interesting, but where do I start? Based on our experience and expertise, and keep in mind that I have been working closely with organizations to deliver impact for the agentic AI platform, start by picking a domain or a subdomain. Have your goals and results that you want to achieve tied to that specific domain. And from that, build your platform, deploy it, and build MCPs that connect to enterprise systems. Moving from there, ensure that you define the governing actions, not just the models, the governing actions. And in addition to that, consider the RACI. So as we have RACIs for employees and humans, we need to add the aspect of RACIs for agents, which skills are tied to what skills are responsible, what is accountable, what is the definition of being consulted and informed, and last but not least, diagnose the roles and the domain, reinvent the objectives, and build the skills accordingly. This is going to be an iterative process, and as you go from a domain or subdomain to another, you'll be able to go either horizontally or transversely across your organization. But keep in mind that the foundations for the success of these solutions go through cross-functional collaboration, ensuring that your solution is trustworthy, secure, and compliant, that you have measurable results and not just deploy solutions that are not tied to any goals. And the last one, ensure that you keep improving on what you have based on the insights that you get from the field. And I'll give you with one last metric. AI initiatives built with external partners succeed twice as often as those built internally. However, what I would tell you today is name an AI responsible still, and force your business unit to deploy agents as soon as possible based on the pain points that they see today, and find the right expert that suits your need. That was it for me today. I'm leaving you a QR code. If you'd like to connect, you can just scan it, and I'll be happy to exchange with you.
Great, Farouk. Thank you. That was great. We do have a question here. Is it possible to build an agentic AI that works off of desktop-based programs, data on local servers, or does it need to be done through web-based?
Oh, you can definitely. So I'm just going to frame the question. Maybe is it in the chat here, or?
Yeah, it's in the Q&A. Yeah,
okay, perfect. That works off it. Yes, you can. However, the the costs of having the right performances, or like let's say the machine that meets the performance needs, may be higher than just leveraging a cloud provider that can already have scalable GPUs or CPUs. I'm trying not to go too technical here,
Mhm.
but there are trade-offs. But if it is it possible? Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, I do have a couple of thoughts and maybe even a question. You talked about 80% of businesses having some level of AI or you know,
Mhm.
or those operations, and only about 20% that are successful in using them. Um, I've been throughout my career. I was managed three different ERP implementations, very, very painful processes. And at the end, there were large portions of those ERP systems that were never used for a
Mhm.
variety of reasons. So I'm wondering what's driving this only 20% use. Is it fear of the unknown? Is it too costly? Is it poor implementation? Why is this such a low number? That really surprises me.
What I saw, and actually, it's not only myself, but in our experience at Move, um, sometimes we would pick up a project that has already been started before we even show up in the picture, and we quickly realize that the solutions have been developed based on assumptions, and sometimes these assumptions come from people that are very disconnected from the reality of the field. That's why it is very important to ensure that we involve people that actually are exposed to these problems, because that's what will bring the adoption, increase the usage of these solutions. If we just, if I can frame it a different way, pushing AI to your employees sometimes is good if they are, let's say, already adopting the technology and understanding how they can benefit from it. But on the other hand, we can face the resistance of changing, because to them it may be, oh, here is again another solution that is not going to help me in my daily work, and that, worse than that, adds workload to the people as opposed to being seamlessly integrated into their workflows.
One of the worst I've seen of that scenario is implementing a CRM system for salespeople. Huge struggles, and oftentimes sat on the shelf. So
Mhm.
yeah, I certainly can appreciate where you're coming from about engaging the entire company and all of the staff to have input and to work on it. The other one you kind of touched on a little bit was the data, and I went through this as well. Um, you, as a business owner or a business manager, you truly have, this is my opinion, no idea of how much data is in your employees' heads that you don't know about. And when you lose them, that data goes with them. Again, I lean on my history, and I was with my last company for 21 years. And when I left, I took a large portion of that 21 years of knowledge and history of the company with me that was never captured. So using these tools
Mhm.
and getting that information into a system that is then usable by other departments, other staff, other people when that person is potentially gone or moved into a different role, hit by a bus, that knowledge is gone. So for me, that's a big a big recommendation to people that are looking at adopting these kinds of technologies, and having some fear about them. There's so many benefits to having that information where it's available, and historically sustainable. So yeah, interesting. One thing we did run into a lot was the data going in. and managing, what that is and the quality of that data. Garbage in, garbage out. How do you manage, your clients to make sure the data is quality data, usable data, and works within the system?
That's a great question. Um, I mean, traditionally, there's always a phase where we explore the data that is in place, ensuring that we can transform it and extract whatever it is possible to extract out of the data that the company has. However, in manufacturing, if I can go back to fenestration, we have engineering documents. There are logs of maintenance that has been gathering throughout the years, and to be honest, as short as 5 years can actually enable so many operations. And of course, data will not be perfect, but the win or the advantage of having that assessment done very soon is putting in place not processes, but the right fixes so that you can ensure that you maximize the value that you get out of that data. Because, as I mentioned earlier, it's golden for any AI or predictive solutions that we can implement.
Yeah, yeah. Just a couple of comments from Devin over at Euroline. Sorry, the chat's disabled. I don't know why that is. I need an AI person to help me figure that out, I guess. But talking about, what I had just mentioned about losing people, the industry is really suffering with that. There's a bit of a downturn going on across a wide swath of the industry. So people are being lost for a variety of reasons, maybe moving on. There are definitely some cutbacks happening in some areas. And again, you're losing these people and that knowledge, and having these systems in place goes a long way to help you, manage and retain that knowledge. Now, unfortunately, you can look at it from the employee side too. And, to me, that was often job security, because I knew so much about, the company and how it operated and its history that, it saved my job a couple of times, I think. So I think there's fear from employees about, what does this tool mean for me? And, is it taking my job? We hear all of this fear about AI coming and replacing everybody. But what's your thought there? I hear both sides of that fence. Is it reasonable for an employee to fear this technology?
Um, Before getting to the answer, there is a study that have been made by the OECD, where basically ranks Canada within the least productive countries in the developed world. Just by comparison to our neighbors down south, we are 40% less productive. Why I'm mentioning this? It's because we shouldn't be fearing this technology. At the end of the day, we're not blindly trusting a solution. A human needs to always be in the loop to validate, ensure that there is no hallucinations, and that the outcome that we are getting is the expected one. So as opposed to seeing it as a threat, it is actually an enabler that allows us to gain in productivity and help us focus on the right topics, whatever allows us to perfect our craft, ensure that we are in, let's say, days. You have mentioned that we have less people, or people that are being that are retiring. If we have difficulties replacing those, we are at least able to have an advantage or a gain using AI, and still maintain a certain level of productivity, even when the market doesn't allow it.
Mm-hmm. How do you reassure your clients? Um, there's so much of this going on. There's so much in the media about AI and the technology, and to be fair, for us lay people, it's pretty complicated. So how do you reassure your clients that you can, for lack of a better way of putting it, do a good job of this? I mean, like any industry, there's going to be some unscrupulous players, and it's pretty easy to get snowballed when people are talking about this level of technology, and I'm just a window builder, right? I mean, um,
Mhm.
what do you recommend, or maybe that's a better question. What do you recommend to those people that are looking at this technology from our industry, and maybe what questions to ask, and how to proceed?
Hmm. Um, First answer to comes to me is start by using it. Try it. Whatever free solutions are out there, give it a chance. See how at your personal level, not even at your enterprise level, how is it changing your way of doing things? What are the things that you can now delegate to these solutions or the platforms that are available to the public? And slowly but surely, you will see the uh, what's in it for you. And at the enterprise level, since we're talking about regulations, about compliance, about a structure in place, I myself go to my clients and try to understand their reality and their staff's reality as well. I'm trying to combine both, understand their journey, and um, advise them on where it's actually bringing a value based on their own goals. And throughout the process, everything that is done, I want to ensure that my clients understand why and how and what are the different elements that are interconnected that allow for the answer or the output that they're getting from the solution.
Great, great, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Well, we've got Farouk here. Anybody? It doesn't look like there's any more there. Yeah, it's really interesting. As we move towards this technology, I've got it rewriting some of my emails for me now. So I look smarter. I sound smarter than I used to, I suppose. I really appreciate your time. It's really interesting topic, and people need to, you need to embrace this. We're moving forward, and I think that those companies that don't embrace it and get in on these changes, you're really going to pay the price as other companies, take it on and become more efficient, and yeah, really interesting stuff. Farouk, if somebody needs to get a hold of you at Move AI, how do they reach you?
If they were not able to scan, I can actually reshare my screen so that they can
Sure. Yeah,
scan
go
the
ahead.
QR code. And there is a question from Murray, if I'm not
Yeah,
Frank.
go ahead, Marie. I can't open the chat, Marie. You're gonna have to type it. Hang on. Let's see if I can. Hammers don't build houses. Builders build houses. That's true. Very true.
I agree. So what is the question?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're right. AI is not going to replace a guy swinging a hammer in many of those cases. Although we do see a lot of automated modular home building these days. But you're right. It's a tool, and you need to embrace it and use it where it works for you, where it makes sense. Totally agree with that. Yeah. Uh,
AI
oh,
mix.
what did I lose one there? Let's see.
Yes.
AI makes bad choices that don't work in construction. Okay, that's interesting. I
Yes.
wish I could bring you in on the chat, Murray. Uh, let's see if let's see if there's a way I can. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can bring you in, because I'd love to hear what you mean there. Okay, Murray, you should be able to talk to us.
I think, can
There
you
you
hear me?
go. I can hear
Yes.
you. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, everybody's eyes are rolling right now. We were going for lunch. Don't let Murray on. First of all, I love it. And second of all, dirty secret, we're including AI in a lot of what we're doing. I have an IT guy who creates all kinds of solutions for us with programmed AI through our internal networks here. Two things. One, we don't allow anything to go outside. Just if you were listening to NW in BC this morning, you would have heard, right, that the problem with outsourcing this stuff is sensitive data, particularly as an educator, where you're dealing with people's success and failure in education. It doesn't make federal or provincial privacy laws if you don't conceal all that data within stuff that you control. So AI is a very powerful tool that we use in helping us review that data and make sense of it. But when we've gone out for the interest of creating new curriculum and we've asked AI about stuff, it corners us into horrible, ultimately going to fail for sure solutions. And that's because construction and design as an industry has relied on old technologies. We've been building lightweight frames since the beginning of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Everything has proven by time, trial by time. And what ends up happening is what worked back when our R value was lower and our air tightness was less preferential is buildings work by accident. They cooked the moisture problem out. Water got in, made things bad. I got in a lot of trouble in 92 for doing a presentation called that. Turns out I was right. And now we just use a big word for it, hydrothermal. Well, AI makes horrible choices because it mines the myth and the misinformation. And it compiles it, and then people take it as de facto. So I think in our industry, a hammer doesn't build a house is the point that I'm led with here. But can you build a house without a hammer? Well, you can use an air nailer. Is it always the right tool? Don't know. I know some guys who doesn't sling a hammer in their pouch, even if they're popping nails through coils. The key point with AI is we've been able to find ways to integrate it to make us a better, more efficient business. But you still need to know when it's wrong because it has no conscience or accountability. And that's kind of my point.
Yeah, I think Farouk, commented to that, yeah, this is a great tool, but humans still need to be involved and make sure it's doing what we expect and what we need and what's right. So, I agree.
So how do you produce it when AI tells you to take a drug for a condition? You find it somewhere out there in Mexico on a holiday, and you don't realize that it's not really a good idea because you have a condition that it didn't warn you about. You're allergic to penicillin, and they give you a brand name for a drug, and you don't realize it's just penicillin. So the risk of uninformed filtering of AI, I think, is greater than people are looking at. And is it going to put us out of business? No. Less manpower or more efficient method in construction is beyond the capacity AI. It's forensic. And looking forward, what about component modular? How do we integrate that in and keep things in Part 9 if you're building small structures and remain economic? There's no way AI gives you good advice on that. It gives you quite bad advice on that. And yet our future is going to be predicated on people that can think that through and see the problem from 10,000 feet. But, is it going to wipe out people getting into our industry? No, it's going to produce efficiencies. But it's not AI that's going to do it. It's going to be what we're doing here, communication between learned people and having open and constructive conversations that allow us to come to consensus that we can live by, and then empowering our governments to set limit states so that if it all goes wrong despite our best efforts, you don't get in trouble for it. The freedom to be able to experiment and to invent and create innovation within an industry, in my opinion, is much beyond the ability of AI. What it will do is it will, like evolution of anything, is going to change the use of labor and the types of products and materials. But we can't run in fear, and we certainly can't blame AI for that. But we can't let AI allow us to make bad choices with our ingredients.
it can't be the be all end all. There still needs to be checks and balances. Totally agree. Devin, you've got a hand up there. I'm going to see if you can talk to us. If it's still.
Maybe Terry, just at the meantime, I would like to add on to what Mary just mentioned. I actually love the intervention because there is a concrete example nowadays when you ask, I believe, I'm not going to name any LLMs here, but one of the LLMs has been asked, oh, my car wash is 1 kilometer, or let's say 50 meters away from me. Do I walk there or do I drive there? And the LLM would answer, oh, it seems so close, no need to use your car. Just go to the car wash walking. And this is one of the pitfalls. Like it's very crazy when they found this error. But what I want to add on to what Murray mentioned is that AI, at the end of the day, it's an algorithm that has been trained on a set of data. For LLMs, we're talking conversation. We're talking reproducing how humans can actually answer questions and have conversations. So let's say the error that a lot of people make is assuming that AI has got the 1,000 of years knowledge that we have in all of the libraries, and that's not the case. And that is why AI can solve some problems. Some AI tools can help us into solving some problems, but you cannot trust it 100%, especially if it wasn't tailored to 200% with the checks and the humans in the loop for your specific industry. And
exactly, yeah,
for sure. Devin, you got a comment there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I didn't know if you could hear me or see me, so I'm just trying to be on my best behavior here.
We can hear you.
No, I raised my hand because I was just like, hey, I don't know if I can comment. The chat was turned off, but I don't have any questions. I think that everything that you provided was really informative. I think that, 100%. It's you can't trust AI 100% because it doesn't know everything. Like it doesn't, take into consideration absolutely everything, but it is a very helpful tool. But it was a great presentation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excellent. Good to hear. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So Farouk, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm making more notes for questions for you next week. So look forward to seeing you in Quebec, and hopefully if anybody else is going to be there on the call, that'd be great. We'd love to chat with you. And thank you very much, everybody. And we will see you again soon. Thanks a lot.
Yes. Just leaving the QR code, Terry, if
perfect. Okay, that's great. Yeah, so that's your contact.
Yes.
Great. If anybody wants to take a shot of that, so they've got Farouk's contact over at Move AI in Montreal. Give you another second, and then give you a couple of minutes back from your hour. Thank you so much, everybody. Chat soon.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.